Good evening, everyone. I'm glad to see some comments already, including an early countdown from Simpsons Clips 24. Thanks for that. My name is Jamie Anderson, for those of you who don't know, and I'm the Managing Director of Anderson Entertainment and the son of the late, great Jerry Anderson. And as you may have guessed, we're here to talk all things new Captain Scarlet. In this case, Operation Sabre. We'd love to know where you are watching us from this evening, so just drop me something in the comments to say where you are watching from. If you are watching us from Facebook, then please do this. Go to streamyard.com/Facebook and authorize so we can see who you are. Otherwise, all we get is anonymous user, and then you don't get credited with your lovely comment or question. Anyway, I am going to be joined very shortly by our special guests for the evening. But I thought it would be quite nice up front to show you a trailer of new Captain Scarlet, because I'm sure there are some of you watching who have not seen the series. Quite unbelievably, even though it was out in 2005, we find people all the time saying they never saw it. So here to kind of get you in the mood for all things new Captain Scarlet is a quick trailer.
Hey, I've got a fix.
But there's nothing out there.
Oh, yes, there is.
What is it?
We're under attack!
What have we done?
Earthmen, this is the voice of the Mysterons. We have watched you for centuries. Your violence disgusts us. You cannot destroy us, Earthmen, but now we will crush your world.
Earth is at war with an alien civilization. The Mysterons are enormously advanced. They exercise a control over matter itself. They can kill anyone and rebuild them as instruments of their war against us.
We were friends once. You saved my life. We were best of friends.
And now, best of enemies.
Scarlet, you are ours.
Captain Scarlet, Spectrum.
I'd never have guessed.
Oh, I do love that trailer. It gives me a sort of a lovely tingle. A great trailer cut by Justin T. Lee, actually, who many of you know from Gazelle Automations, from his work on the Thunderbirds anniversary episodes, and as Scott Tracy in our new Thunderbirds audio adventures. But this is not a Thunderbirds related thing. This is new Captain Scarlet. And on with me tonight, I have three very special guests. And I'm going to welcome them in just a random order. So joining me first up, it's Chris Thompson. Hello, Chris. Can you say hello to these lovely people and tell us what your role is in this project?
Hello, my name is Chris Thompson. I'm usually a content creator in Anderson Entertainment. I previously wrote the Moonbase Alpha technical manual, but here I am as writer of Captain Scarlet Operation Sabre.
A fantastic intro. It's not just you writing in this, though, is it? We're also joined by another writer of this this graphic novel. It's Andrew Clements, also known as AC.
Hello.
So, AC, what's your involvement in this project?
In this project, I was writing Skyfire, which is the Angel script that appears at the very end of the main graphic novel as a little tribute to the Angels TV 21 script that appeared in the original comics.
Fantastic. So even though it's brand new stuff, we're doing a lovely little nod and a tribute to the comics of the 60s. And finally, and some might say most importantly of all, because without an artist, the graphic novel does not exist, really. Obviously, the writers are important too, gents. But come on, let's be nice. So
the artists are the real heroes when it comes to these things. So
exactly. So forget Captain Scarlet. The real hero here is Connor Flannagan. So Connor, welcome along. Tell us a little bit about you and how you got involved with this crazy project.
Well, my name is Connor Flannagan, and yes, I am indeed the artist on Jerry Anderson's new Captain Scarlet Operation Sabre. And what an honor it is. I first got involved with you guys when I did Space Precinct a few years ago. Cut my teeth on that one, and I was hungry for more, and I was very, very honored to be offered a chance to continue with you guys. And yeah, so this has been the fruits of that labor. Pretty excited about it. It's just been a bit of a trip, and I think that the final product is, yeah, I'm pretty pleased with what I'm seeing.
The final product,
exciting stuff.
It is exciting. The final product is fantastic. You've all done an absolutely brilliant job. I think to sort of give our lovely viewers, who are, by the way, joining us from all over the world and all over the UK, the most exotic place I've seen so far is Penzance. There are some non-UK places too, but I thought we should have probably a quick look at the trailer for new Captain Scarlet Operation Sabre, which is our new 102-page graphic novel. So here's the trailer for Operation Sabre.
This is the voice of the Mr. For years we have slept, but now we have reawoken. The time has come to enact our vengeance. Nothing will stop us. Not Spectrum, not Scarlet. We will be avenged.
The War of Nerves continues in Jerry Anderson's new Captain Scarlet, Operation Sabre, a 100-page graphic novel, picking up where the 2005 television series left off, with 2 brand new adventures, written by Chris Thompson and Andrew Clements, with artwork by Connor Flannagan. Available July 10th from the Jerry Anderson store.
Lovely trailer, Chris. Very nice. I think that's kind of sets us up pretty well.
I will be forever delivering my name that way, Connor Flannagan.
I'm sure Wayne Forrester will be more than happy to record your voicemail, Connor. So, Chris, seeing as you sort of headed up this, why don't you tell us how this came about and why you decided to tackle some new graphic novel material for new Captain Scarlet?
Well, we did Space Precinct back in 2018, and we were just working out like what we were going to do next. We were going to do more space, or we were going to try something else. And new Captain Scarlet is a very fond place in my heart, because while I really enjoyed all the original shows, new Captain Scarlet sort of came out when I was trying to work out what I was going to do with my life. And yeah, like watching all the development of it and watching all those like images and concepts, and that like very first trailer coming out really made me feel like, oh, I want to get into the film industry. I want to get into like doing artwork, and I want to get into storytelling. And as it is one of the shows that we are able to do stuff with, I was like, okay, let's give this a shot. Let's bring back new Captain Scarlet after, what is it, 15 years? 16 years almost?
17 years, yeah. It's quite some time.
And obviously, like, I really loved Connor's work on Space Precinct, so it was like obviously natural to have Connor come back, and it was great to have that little bit of extra room with the graphic novel. So not only do we have a much more expansive story, but also AC can come in and resurrect the old Angel script from TV21, which was great to see.
Okay, so I will then just touch on that kind of original viewing experience with you, Connor, and AC. And since Chris pointed to you first, AC, you can tell me first. So how old were you when New Captain Scarlet came out, and where did that sit in context of the other Anderson shows for you?
So I guess I would have been probably 16-ish, around about that stage. And I honestly can't remember, Jamie, how I found out that it was coming along, because it just seemed to sort of come out of the blue. And I remember watching that first episode and just being blown away by it. And for no reason at all, I remember the day the second episode aired, I had a stinking cold. So I was bedbound, and it was one of the only enjoyable things that happened to me that day. So there you go. But much like Chris, I followed the development of the show sort of a little bit after the fact. I discovered the website, concept drawings, and I think it might have just been called CaptainScarlet.com at that stage. And it had little renders, turnarounds of the craft, and a background image of Skybase and all the rest of it. And I just kind of got hooked on it. So as where that would have sat for the rest of the series, I would have been familiar with most of the Super Mario Nation series. I think I would have watched UFO a year or two before that on DVD. So quite fittingly, it was one of the last Anderson shows that I actually got into. But I just thought it was incredible. And a few years later, it was 2010 or thereabouts, I met Jerry at a convention. I think you probably know this story already, but I met Jerry at a convention, hadn't the first idea what I was going to say to him, and then just thought, New Captain Scarlet, I'll talk to him about New Captain Scarlet. So I just went in and said something like, hello, Mr. Anderson. I just want to tell you, New Captain Scarlet is really, really good. It has lots of fans, and everybody loves it. And then sort of like braced for some sort of like strange look. And he just smiled. He gave me a massive smile and said, yes, it was rather good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, I passed the test.
You did indeed. Well, he was incredibly proud of New Captain Scarlet. And, if things had gone differently for him health-wise, I think it could have been the start of a group of reimaginings of various shows. So I'm really, really, pleased and proud that we're able to continue this on. And Connor, when we were having a chat before this, you revealed how you got into Anderson shows in the kind of slightly weird way, because most people, they'll say, "Oh, I saw Thunderbirds when it was originally aired in the 60s, or the BBC rerun in the 90s, or I got into it through Space 1999." It's normally directly through a show. What was your entry point?
Well, is this very important book back here? At least very important to me. This is not the original. I do have the original, which is very, very ratty and very, very read through. It's in a box somewhere, but this is a cleaner version of it. But I got that book off my parents when I was 8 years old, and it was my guide to all things Jerry Anderson for shows that I hadn't even seen yet, and I wouldn't maybe get to even see for so many years later. But the book was used through all sorts of school projects and stuff. I mean, it's uncanny that, the effect that it had on me, but it led me into the comics, led me onto all the later shows. Just a bit of an odd entry point, but a guidebook for most of what will come for later. So fantastic. But yeah, that's my strange entry point.
Off the back of a book, here you are doing all the art for one for New Captain Scarlet. Excuse my dogs in the background, it'll be unavoidable. You're going to keep hearing little yaps, but I'll try and keep them quiet. So Chris, I guess it's probably a nice idea if we can get a little bit of a preview of some of the stuff that people can expect, and you can talk us through. So do you want to sing out some numbers of what you like, and Connor and AC, as stuff comes up that's relevant, if you want to jump in and just say about the process or things you're particularly pleased with, anything like that. So
yeah, let's just go with just number one. Let's go with the cover.
Oh yes,
there it is. Connor, you came up with this pretty much on your own, like with the idea to kind of talk back or sort of reference the original opening titles. Do you want to say a few words, Connor?
Well, actually, I think the origin of this actually comes down to Andrew, which you may not be aware of, but very early on in the process, Andrew and I had a conversation, and it was one that kind of surprised me. And it was basically to do with when we said we were going to do New Captain Scarlet, and the fact that we weren't doing original Captain Scarlet. And some people won't know the difference, and that's the whole point of this, in a sense. But basically, he had said that there was a sort of a separation, perhaps, in some of the fandom. and that kind of surprised me, because for me, it's kind of a case of if I'm being offered more Captain Scarlet, I'm going to take that with both hands. So I guess, and while I didn't intentionally set out with a vision of this particular cover, I think the first image that came to mind was Captain Scarlet in the alleyway from the original show, and I just thought that superimposing new Captain Scarlet into that setting would be a sort of a welcoming image for old fans and for new fans. Just mix it and muddy it together a little bit, thus making it for all, and maybe making it something of its own also. But ultimately, that was the ethos behind it, and I think that stretches through the entire book. It's very much a love letter to both, and an invitation to both types of fans to come in and just give it a go. And it's just a lot of fun, and it's, as I say, it's a love letter. So
That's, it was very much my idea in terms of writing it, is that I wanted something that not everyone caught New Scarlet on the first run. So I really wanted something that would appeal to both. Like if you're a classic Captain Scarlet fan that's never really seen New Captain Scarlet, like you would pretty much be able to pick it up, and there's stuff in the book that will help you get right up to speed. And but at the same time, I wanted to continue a lot of the character moments, because New Scarlet is a lot more character focused. And not only did I want to bring everything they did with Scarlet forward, but I wanted to have all these moments with the other characters. I think it's got a very strong ensemble cast, which in the past would sometimes get pushed out in favor of Scarlet doing more cool stuff. So in this one, I've made sure to give like some key moments for like Colonel White, Lieutenant Green, Captain Blue, and then obviously AC has an entire story for the Angels. So hopefully we kind of teetered that balance on having something that'll be satisfying for the new Scarlet fans, while also the old Scarlet fans will be able to pick it up as well. Do you want to move on to image 2, Jamie?
Yeah, I just say that making the shows accessible is one of the main things we try to do, really. It doesn't matter whether it's a show from the early 60s or from 2005 or anything in between. We really want to give all of you a way to access this in the way you like to enjoy entertainment. So if you enjoy comics and graphic novels, then great. If you enjoy Captain Scarlet and you're old, then this is perfect for you too. So yes, Chris, here's your next slide, sir.
And this is our big Scarlety boy. And yeah, it's just really great to see him again. I think Connor's done a smashing job with how he's rendered in the book. And we've got this, I always love writing opening gambits for projects, particularly if it's like the first story of like an ongoing series or something. I like to start it off with a very familiar, very like exciting adventure. Like if people read Space Precinct Reloaded, that entire comic is just a one-off opening adventure to get you kind of right into Denver City. And this book starts off very much the same. We have the Mysterons trying to release a deadly nerve gas on the city of Toulouse in France. And this was an idea I actually came up with probably about 15 years ago. Whenever I was first toying with the idea of getting into 3D modeling, I was like, okay, there's new Captain Scarlet. I could do more. Like when I realized the show wasn't coming on, my little sort of teenage brain was like, yeah, I could do that. And I came up with this action sequence in my head and this whole really elaborate way of revealing Scarlet and having all the characters involved. So I guess it's a testament to always bear in mind that never throw away an idea. You might wind up ending up using it 17 years later. So yeah.
You never know. Now, I'm very pleased to see how many wows and looks amazings are coming through. And Connie, you may have seen we had a comment from somebody saying looks very 2000 AD in style. I just wondered if you could just give us some idea of your influences in terms of the style, why you've picked this particular look and style. Is that because it's just your very own? Have you developed it for New Scarlet? What's the origin of the style, I guess?
These are questions I ask myself. I think basically it's kind of just what comes out to some degree. So it is a stylistic thing, but I think it's ever evolving without a doubt. But I mean, you'll see throughout the book the influences of a lot of the TV 21 artists are there. Things like Mike Noble, Frank Bellamy. If you move a bit later on, Graham Bleethman, people even like Andrew Skeletor, all synonymous with Jerry Anderson and beyond, frankly. But specifically that era in the 90s when those comics were coming out, like the ones behind me here, they had a massive impact on me, without a doubt. But as someone who's worked in a comic book store for quite a number of years, and being steeped in comics as I am, I mean, there's a lot of American influence there as well. Big fan of artists like Jim Lee, Greg Capullo, and there are many more besides. I wouldn't get into naming too many because the list would be long. So no, I think it's a mix of influence of British artists and of American artists also. I think it falls somewhere in between there, possibly. It's hard to decipher your own work in that way. At least it is for me, but it's exciting, especially seeing a lot of the imagery popping back towards me today, and having not looked at it in a number of months and stuff. It's interesting, but the thing that hits me most of all is the color, and that's something I've worked very hard to. It certainly helped me evolve my style as well. But the color is the one thing that's catching me, and I think it's kind to the eye. At least I hope that's the case. But for me, that's the thing that sort of is pulling me in initially. But yeah. It's ever evolving.
It's great. Well, I saw somebody say it's reminding them of the days of getting TV Century 21 comic in the 60s, which I think is high praise indeed. But I definitely feel like we've evolved on kind of with the style and with the kind of the added maturity of Scarlet. Chris, what is going on here?
So again, one of the exciting things about having a longer book is that you can go. There's more scope to like vary your environment. So we start off in Toulouse. This sequence is based in Alaska, I think, if I remember correctly. It just occurs to me that we actually haven't touched on what the story is about. And yeah, so to very briefly,
we can get there. Go on. Give us the intro of what Sabre's about then.
To very briefly give you the heads up, it is about the world government being dissatisfied with the lack of Spectrum progress fighting the Mysterons and turning to this mysterious new organization, Sabre, and the fallout from that. Like Captain Scarlet is arrested, and Colonel White has to basically choose between towing the line of his superiors or risking Spectrum on trying to rescue his best agent. And this story takes us around the world. So this is, if you want to bring the image back up, Jamie, this is Captain Ochre and Captain Blue on a sort of slightly dodgy mission to a top secret base in an unknown location. And again, I'll touch on this a bit more in the next page we show. But I just love the way that this one. I just love how Connor designs his panels and composes his panels, because one of the big things that everyone talks about TV21 is they would never just have stuff being in panels. Stuff would be flying out of panels all the time. And I find Connor's work is very much an evolution of that, because here you have Captain Scarlet essentially getting thrown out of the book. This page and the page next to it, which we don't have because spoilers, there's just such organized chaos, like the build up to this, and then how Connor just releases it with this wonderful Scarlet in peril, like he was in the end titles of the show. I just think it's really, really wonderful. And I just think like this is why I like using Connor as an artist, because this is stuff I don't see in other comic books these days.
Yeah, there's something very dynamic and lively about it, which is really lovely, Connor. So, tip of the hat to you for that.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to number 5, Chris.
So this is AC's episode. So AC, do you want to reach out?
Yeah, come on, AC. Tell us about this. What is it? Can you give us a little hint of the story? What's going on here?
Well, I can give you a little bit about the genesis of how it came about. So we'd been sort of working, well, I say we, Chris and Connor had been doing all the heavy lifting on the bulk of Operation Sabre. And things have been going along, and I've been doing little bits and pieces and doing little bits of edits and various other bits. And I had done a little intro paragraph, I think something just to introduce people who maybe weren't familiar with the series. And then Chris said that we had been given a slight page count increase, and we wanted to do something fun with that. Could I pitch a short Angels-themed story? And this is the bit that I won't forget, because Connor has made this so much better than it was supposed to be. The brief was something with the Angels, keep it in the air, lots of sky backdrops, just something that we can put together reasonably quickly. It'll still look very nice, and not too many different characters. I thought, yep, great, okay, I've got an idea, I'll develop this. The general story is that it's separate. It doesn't take place concurrently with Operation Sabre. It's just its own little story. The Mysterons take control of something, which I'm not going to give away at this point in time. But it's up to the Angels to step into the breach, and they do their thing and try to avert a disaster of large proportions, with London being the target. And I thought, okay, perfect. Great. Lots of shots of the Angels flying around, seeing the Falcon interceptors going all about their business, maybe a few explosions in the sky or something, distant shot of London, maybe one or two sort of brief, quick close-ups of London, and that'll be that. All perfect. No. That's not what happened at all, because Connor decided, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this so much more dynamic by having 1,000 different angles of London with every conceivable building appearing in a shot. I'm not going to.
Connor's drawn the city of London.
Yes.
5 times.
Yeah.
Amazing.
If it was any more detailed, you'd probably see every single tube station stop throughout the city. So it was just incredible, just mind-blowing stuff. Just the artwork, just completely visually appealing, and so much better than it was written on the page. But no, that was really it. A nice little angel story to sit in nicely at the end of the novel.
Fantastic. But it's the beauty of these processes, though, where you say, it's better than the written story, but it's the collaboration which is so lovely and is so satisfying. There's a great dynamic shot here, Connor, which I really like, which Chris picked out, which is very cool. Kind of, I think, very much what the TV series tried to do, would have done. So it all feels very fitting, and there's a lovely sense of dynamism and also of detail going on. Even the positions of the angels in the cockpits of these Falcons and stuff, it just all looks so authentic to the show. I think it's really beautifully done. Chris, there's some extras as well. You're going to?
Yeah, we're just leading into the next page. One of the actual really cool things about this, you might see it behind me, is that due to a funny quirk of, Dominic Lavery sending me the original models that were used on the show, I have pretty much the perfect reference to use. And if you see the shots of Skybase that like through the book and of the Rhino and of the Albatross specifically, we've been able to use these models. So a couple of the pages of the book, just splitting up chapters and things, are dedicated to bits like this, just like showing the models in detail that you wouldn't have really have been able to see during the show. And it's really cool because not only do we get to show these off again, but you also don't see a lot of this. Like New Scarlet, like there was only been a few different shots of Skybase or like the other things, and you get to see like the way that the command tower can actually like drop into the base itself and all those little details. And so it was really cool to be able to send those to Connor, just to kind of give it that little air of authenticity. So like when Skybase is on the page or the Rhino's on the page, like Connor's not done, like Connor's drawn it perfectly, and he's been able to use the reference to make it look spot on. So that's been really cool.
All tools at our disposal. So yeah, no, it's a really lovely collection. Now, Chris, I've seen a question from somebody earlier on, which I've now lost, which is the book set after Dominion? Oh, here we go, from Scott.
People who have seen the preview pages that Bleeding Cool have put up will know that it is almost immediately after Dominion. I kind of wanted to pick it up. I'm of the school of thought that Dominion is the last episode, not Grey Skulls. And so I kind of wanted to start it off with Captain Black on Mars having to sort of explain why he's done such a bad job, to kind of mirror sort of the situation that Spectrum's in. So yeah, it is about that. And another question, I can't remember if it was on this feed or one that just before we started, was whether it was related to Operation Sword from the original series. For people not in the know, Operation Sword was, remind me, AC, it was mentioned in at least one episode, but maybe two.
Yeah, it was mentioned in Shadow of Fear and then never referenced ever again.
Yeah, so there was this like mysterious operation that was in theory going to be the sort of Spectrum's retaliation against the Mysterons, which never got talked about again, but was we were told to believe that it was very important. And Operation Sabre is a reference to that. It's essentially treating new Captain Scarlet as sort of like the road not taken. So not only is this Operation Sabre, but there's other bits in the story that kind of mirror stuff that happened in the original series, but I've taken it in a different road, a different direction.
There you go. There's your answer if you're asking about Sword and Sabre. I did see even more niche Sabre question from, I think, Simon Allen, but I'm pretty sure the answer to that, Simon, was no. I like it. Clearly, kind of the visuals are giving people a feel for something live action. If you're watching this and you've got a question, by the way, for artists Connor or writers Chris and AC, just drop them in the comments and I will try and put them up now, and we'll get as many answers as we can. But Connor, when you were sort of doing the research and the prep for this, did you refer back to the original series a lot in terms of its direction and its visual style beyond just the designs of the characters and stuff?
I didn't really have to, because it's so ingrained in my mind. I think my background here would pretty much tell you where I'm coming from. I have all this stuff, so it's a no-brainer. No, I'm well versed in all of that. So it was just really a case of taking sort of what I know and just sort of letting it flow. So that's.
So it's natural because it's so ingrained into you. I think that's probably the same for all three of you, to be fair.
Well, I mean, it's made by fans for the fans, so it can only be a good thing.
You can tell there's a huge amount of love in there. Now, this one, I guess, actually, I would say, Scott, this is more of a question for me than these guys.
Well, let's hear some more of a question for them. Bye.
But gents, if this goes well, have you got some more ideas you'd like to do? You could say no, but I guess you're probably not going to say no.
I've got more Scarlet ideas. I've got a small, tiny pitch deck for pretty much all the shows in my head. So there's usually something.
There's your one. Okay.
I enjoy drawing it, so
Yeah. Okay. So we can't escape more if this does well. Now, we do have a very special launch event. If you are within driving distance or flying distance, in my case, from Belfast, we have a launch event at Forbidden Planet on the 9th of July. Connor, seeing as you work there still, right? That's correct. Can you tell us about this event and the whens and the hows and all that stuff?
I can indeed, yes. Forbidden Planet International Belfast is 52 to 54 Ann Street, Belfast. I've worked there for about 15 years. So it's between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. You'll see myself, you'll see Chris, you'll see Andrew, and you'll see Jamie. I'll be there signing and grinning and doing the hard sell. There's going to be a number of incentives. I wrote myself into trying to produce 50 sketches for the first 50 books sold. So about 25 of those done. I have a little bit more work to do on that. Look, it's going to be a great day, and big thanks to Jamie for coming across, because that's just going to set it up in a big way.
Yeah, don't thank me. The guy who did nothing on this is going to turn up, so that's it. But the main thing is that these three guys have put it all together and can answer all your questions, and you'll feel the love pouring off the page, and being able to be there and ask them questions and stuff, I think will be great. So if you can make it to Belfast on the 9th of July, then fantastic. Release date is the 10th of July, which is Captain Scarlet Day, which has its history rooted in classic Captain Scarlet. It was Tony Barwick's birthday and the date that gets mentioned multiple times in the classic series. But Captain Scarlet Day is about both. So this is for our kind of celebration of the new. Chris, there is a question here about how many years after Dominion, but you said straight after, right? Is this
pretty much immediately? Yeah.
Yeah.
Captain Black walks off into the Mr. on Sunset, and then this happens.
So there you go. There's your answer. Immediately afterwards. Any chance of a London signing? Well, never say never. Right now, I don't know if you can tell from these guys' accents, but they are all within some proximity of Belfast. So I guess it's convenience for you guys.
I've been quite some time, so I'd be happy to.
We'll see what we can do.
Belfast accent.
Connor, I've got a couple of questions for you. Roger is asking how you work. Are you traditional? Are you digital? Are you both?
Well, the book is actually it's going to be an interesting thing for people to look at. You know, it's actually a combination because at the very start of the project, I was working on paper and I was using pencils, inks, and so on and so forth. As it moved through the project, pages that I had sort of begun on paper were being sort of adjusted in computer. Stupidly, I was doing a lot of things via mouse, but very early in the digital process. But I moved into a digital drawing tablet and stuff. So by the time you hit Anders strip at the end, it's very much a digitally drawn book, and it's all been digitally colored, obviously, but very much traditional pencils, inks on paper for the first quarter of the book, and then as you move through, it's a sort of a combination. So yeah, it's a hybrid of sorts.
Using the best tools for the job, right? That's, you know, again, I think you look at something like Space Police or even Space Precinct, it's using the best tools available to put it across visually in the best possible way. I have another question for you, which is how long does the drawing take? Forever.
The question is, how long should it take? You know, look, this has been a long gestating project, but it's been me working around other commitments, so it's a bit of a strange one. But hopefully, as time has gone on, it's allowed me to evolve, and hopefully it's just a little bit more special. But people will judge, and I'm just hoping that you'll all love it.
Oh, of course they're going to love it. You know, there you go. Andrew Hyde saying, can't wait because it looks epic. Aid's already got his pre-order in, so that's fantastic. We've got a couple more questions for you. It's all for Spectrum Angels, aerial dogfights. Do we have any of that in the comic?
Can
we say?
That stuff that the angels interact with do blow up.
Yes, we can say that for sure. We can also reveal in a cryptic way that you will see the angels doing something they have never done before.
Oh, okay. That's a real tease there. Okay.
Like they combine into a giant, what do you call that? Robot.
Don't mislead people, Connor. We can't have any mis-selling going on here.
Angels Voltron.
Yeah, no, we're definitely not having that. Connor, any particular NCS characters that you like drawing, or that you other ones that you would like to across the Anderverse?
I think the obvious thing is Scarlet. Well, Black is probably the obvious one. I think everyone's going to enjoy drawing a villain. I would say Black, Scarlet, and Blue. That would be the top three.
Okay.
Sorry.
I guess Adam's just kind of a more humorous character. I guess he's got that lighter side. Scarlet's got the big action moments, and Black's just fun to draw because, well, he's menacing. Everyone loves that.
Quite like your work with Colonel White, though. There's just something about just the way you draw him. Like he has that serious side, but also you give him a nice fatherly sort of.
There's a lot of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is interesting. We were talking about this before as well. Ross Patterson says, "Were you tempted to put any Jerry Anderson references into Operation Sabre?" I think Ross, he might have been so tempted that he actually did it. So spread throughout Operation Sabre across its 102 pages are a number of Easter eggs. You may have seen one on the cover already. There are several more on the cover and throughout. Any light hints at what people might expect, where they can look to find these Easter eggs across the pages?
I would say it's worth looking at the names of buildings, perhaps, or there might be the odd little nod to some more obscure characters.
I might even go as far to say is anytime something blows up, anytime there's debris flying around, check your debris.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a nice hint. We'll be looking for that. There are definitely some bits of graffiti, I think building and vehicle names, all sorts of stuff. So you can look throughout that. Chris and AC, this is probably one for you from Ryan, which is, how difficult is it to write the dialogue for the characters? Are you hearing their voices when you're writing? Do you just get a sense of how they speak naturally? AC in particular, I think I've spoken to you about this before, and you do get that. I believe I certainly see the way you write stuff on the page is often very much I can then hear that character's voice back again. But how has it been for you, Chris and AC, writing like that?
You first, AC.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, yeah, I guess that's true, Jamie. When you're very familiar with the characters, when you've seen the series so many times, as you said before, it's been out for 17 years now, and I've gone through the series countless times. You just kind of get a feel for the way they speak. It's easier when characters have... Who have we got joining us there at the moment?
Jamie, you've muted yourself.
You've muted yourself.
That was Eric, and then there was a lot of barking going on. They're all very excited to hear the dogs. So, yeah, please don't let their voices distract you from talking about character voices.
It's a dog-eat-dog world. So, yeah, character voices. Sometimes it can be easier when characters have a specific sort of accent or dialect when they would say things quite often. If you're looking at the likes of... Captain Black, which I obviously didn't write for specifically in this story, but I'm sure, as Chris knows, Captain Black is sort of a fairly self-superior, smarmy kind of way of going about things. Blue will be quippy. Scarlet will sort of be the upright hero kind of guy, and then it just sort of comes out the way that it does, really. As Connor said earlier, these things just stay in your mind, and you don't specifically have to go back to reference them so much because they're so ingrained, because the series is just so brilliant. You can't help but remember exactly who these characters are and what they're about. So you try to put down as much of that. You don't want to burden it with too many references. You don't want to stick in every single catchphrase that you can think of, or every single thing that you might tie to a specific character. You don't need to know what they had for breakfast. But as long as you're getting an authentic flavor of them, I think is the important thing, so that you can tell, especially in the Angels story, when there are a lot of characters in similar locations, they're all in their aircraft and such. So if you can give a little hint to each one, I think that's very important.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like I've got a very visual way of writing. So in my head, like often I've got like almost like a movie playing of how this all turns out. And that takes a bit of work, because I'm told like comic artists are always quite frustrated about writers that just are failed filmmakers trying to put overly complicated camera moves in their script. So I always try to bear that in mind. But the characters are absolutely, I feel like it's quite easy to sort of differentiate the way the characters talk and give them good pieces of dialogue that sort of fit them. And if you can imagine, say, Wayne Forrester saying the line of dialogue in your mind, and it sounds authentic, then that's a good way of judging, like, oh yes, Captain Scarlet would say that, or Colonel White would say that. Captain Black is very good to write for, because he is smarmy, and he's very different to what he is in the original series, because in the original series he is basically a zombie, whereas in this time you can kind of have a bit of color to him. He's like resentful, he's angry. He'll like try, and if he's winning, you'll try and rub it in your face a bit. What I did find though is in my head I had Crispin Morel's music going when I was writing this, like, and there's at least 2 points in the comic where somebody will say something cool, and then the theme tune in my head would just crash in, like, you know, the epic like dun 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 dun, dun. And I'd be interested to see if you guys know where you can spot those bits. But yeah, so that's my way of being like, okay, this is a cool part of the story, or maybe like this hopefully will come off well. We'll find out. But yeah.
I think people are going to hear the characters in their mind's ear as well, but it's amazing how the mind's ear comes into play on something so visual.
It does also help that we had Wayne on the trailer. Like, yes. That was he's been old Captain Scarlet for a while now with us, but it was quite nice to have him as new Captain Scarlet. And also, quick shout out to Jack Noel, who is our resident Mr. On.
Yes, thank you, Jack. Lovely stuff. Now, Chris, probably the most important question of the entire stream has come up. Why are you changing color?
I just decided to have, just going to totally ruin my stream setup. I just bought this and I just thought, you know what? Let's have a nice, authentic Mr. On style filter.
Brilliant.
Okay. Have it a bit spectrum, you know.
Good. I'm glad we've answered that. And that disproves Simon Allen's theory that you live next to a traffic light. So very happy to have done that. Right, I've got the last couple of questions coming in, and then we are going to wrap things up. So I have had a question. How much is it? $14.99 is the price, and you can pre-order it from this address below, ander.son/Sabre, or you can just go to the Jerry Anderson store. I have a question for you, though, Connor from Aid, who has already pre-ordered the book. He grew up with Jerry Embleton and Frank Bellamy. Which artists in particular inspired you? They don't necessarily just have to be Anderson. I mean, you've already paid homage a bit to Andrew Skilleter and a couple of others, but any in particular inspired you?
Well, sort of without giving the same answer again, but definitely, I very specifically remember getting that Thunderbirds comic in around 1991. I think, I don't know if it's this. I don't have it on the wall there, but I very much remember the Frank Bellamy strips being really impressive to me. But I think I'm fairly confident that it was the Steve Kite stories that were adaptations of the episodes, and they just knocked my socks off. They were just so crisp and clean, and the characters looked like the characters, the color, just the cleanliness of it, but the fun aspect of it. And I think, is he on the cover as well? Perhaps I think he's on the cover, maybe.
Yeah, I think he is.
But yeah, so definitely, but they're so disparate, they're so different. And I have to say also, Mike Noble, the stuff that he was doing on the other strips he was doing were Fireball XL5. I think he did some of the Captain Scarlets as well, like
0X.
There is no the 0X strips.
Yeah, they're beautiful, aren't they? So,
oh my god, yeah.
Actually, on the 90s comics, like they're a huge influence for me as well. I remember I think it's Mark White. I could be wrong. The stuff that he did, I always felt was like really authentic to the show and really cool.
There you go. So it's amazing how echoes across the decades can all culminate in something like this. I've got a couple of quick ones here. Is it possible there'll be another Captain Scarlet series in the future? Actual TV series? I mean, never say never. I'm not expecting any more new Scarlet for the time being. That is certainly TV episodes are sadly outside of our ownership and license on New Captain Scarlet. But, great stories can potentially have new iterations. So who knows? Gents, if any of our lovely viewers, and thank you all so much for watching and your questions and comments, if they want to find you on social media, ask you further questions, get in touch with you, how do they do so? Chris, I'll let you go first.
I'm on... I was about to say Tinder. I'm on Twitter.
It's not this kind of show, Chris. You're in the wrong place if you're advertising your Tinder profile.
I'm on Twitter just under Chris Thompson. I'll be connected to the official Jerry Anderson, and I'm on Instagram under ChrisXL5.
Great. AC?
I am also on Twitter, and you can find me as soon as I work out what my name is.
I believe you're very understated. It's AC the Legendary.
Oh yeah, okay, fair enough. It's AC the Legendary. Well, feel free to look me up under that. I'm not saying it's accurate. It's just a name.
Okay, fine. No false advertising here. And Connor, what about you?
I think you'll have to hunt a little bit for me because I've been pretty terrible with all of that. But I am going to get on it in a big way. But I'm around. Okay. I'll be about.
Okay, well, we'll tag you on posts on Instagram or wherever you are. And I think possibly this is the best question we can end on, just where we could all opine on this extremely important matter. From Rob Hawke: if Captain Scarlet was decapitated, would he grow a new head?
No.
A lot about
this. Would grow a new body.
Well, there's a couple of little posters out there for promotional. When you want to go onto the Forbidden Planet International website there and have a look. I don't know. Actually, I'll upload something else. There are a couple of little autopsy type photos that aren't in
Ooh.
If you want the super, or sorry, finish off, Connor.
No, that's I won't give any more than that. But would it?
How I've always kind of read it is it's not that stuff grows back, but anytime you see Mr. On sort of die or anything happens in the show, they just kind of turn into green energy and vanish or disappear or whatever. So I'm assuming that both parts would just sort of turn green and then come together and instant Scarlet just add water.
Yeah, yeah.
These are questions for characters like Hulk and Wolverine. What would happen? And that's been dealt with to some degree. Indestructible characters, So.
Yeah, I think they've got to come together. Otherwise, you risk growing two Scarlets, and I think that is we're asking for trouble there. Maybe that's the seed of the next graphic novel. Who knows? Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, AC. Thank you, Connor, for joining this evening. If you'd like to get a copy of New Captain Scarlet Operation Sabre, you can go to ander.sun/Sabre. The address is down there at the bottom of the screen, or go to the Jerry Anderson store, shop.jerryanderson.com, or join us at Forbidden Planet International Belfast on the 9th of July for a lovely signing with these three guys and me for no particular reason. But we'll all be there. Lots of copies of the book. And we hope you really enjoy Operation Sabre, and we cannot wait to hear your feedback. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.